Welcome to 7 Days of Land Flipping, session number 4. Right now we're talking about valuating pieces of land and making offers. Now again, if you haven't watched sessions 1 to 3, make sure you click right on the link here to go back to session number 1 and then go from there session by session, because they all build on top of each other. Over these 7 days, I'm laying out how you can do deals from anywhere in the world, from the comfort of your home, without any tenants, toilets, and termites, without touching the land, without seeing the land, without meeting the seller, without meeting the buyer. Land flipping is truly the last frontier of real estate investing. So with that said, let's jump right into this session. So we talked about how to select an area. We talked about already how to get the list. We talked about already how to talk to the seller and how to send out those letters. Right now in this session, we're talking about these letters have arrived, the sellers have called you back, the sellers have perhaps talked to a voicemail, the sellers have perhaps talked to a call center, or if you want to pick up the phone calls yourself, I don't. Why would I want to do that? They talk perhaps to you, and you've answered a few questions, and now you have what we call a offer request arrived at your inbox. So you now have a seller, or ideally many sellers, because when you send out those letters, what makes our business different is that we get on a well-selected county on average a 3 to 5% response rate. Now the house flippers, they're beating ourselves against each other because there's so much competition. They're beating each other up for over a 0.4% response rate. So we are getting a 10x higher response rate than the house flippers are getting, and that's one of the secrets why land flipping works so well. It's the only method out there that I can truly say, if you do this the right way, you're gonna get overwhelmed by deals. Anyone overwhelmed by deals? Then put in the comments, heck yes, I wanna see that. Anyway, so now you have a bunch of people that want an offer. Well, the next thing you need to do is you need to actually figure out what these properties are worth. Now we have developed 5 different ways to value those properties. And the first way is that you use the assessed value to get some kind of an inclination of what ballpark that property is worth. The assessed value is not always reliable, particularly in an up market or in a down market. It's not super reliable, but in a stable market, it actually gives you a very good indication of what the property is worth. Because typically the county assessors, they don't just slap a random assessed value on a property. Instead, what they do is they have some kind of a ratio of how they assess this property compared to market value. So for example, in Arkansas, if a property is worth $20,000, they're only going to assess it at $4,000. So the assessed value in Arkansas is only 20% of market value. In Colorado, for example, on the other hand, it's about 90% of market value. In Arizona, it's about 2/3 of market value. So if you're doing some deals in a state, all you need to do is basically look at the assessed value, then call the county and ask them, how does this assessed value stand in relationship to the market value? What percent of market value do you assess these properties? They tell you, and you got your first indication of what this property could be worth. The second one is obviously the most obvious of them all. People come to me and say, like, Jack, how do you value a piece of land? And I answer, well, how do you establish the value of a house? And there's like, well, sold comparables. It's like, hallelujah, we do the exact same thing. Sold comparables. Websites like Zillow, websites like Trulia, websites like Landwatch, websites like Redfin, they have listed on their website what properties have sold, what land has sold. So you do the exact same thing. You're looking at a 2-acre property outside of a bigger city. You bring up Zillow, you see what other 2-acre properties in that area have sold for in the last half a year. You got your value. Now, if it happens that you don't have any sold properties in there, either that is because there's not much movement, in which case you need to be careful anyway, or it's because perhaps that state is what's called a non-disclosure state. And in a non-disclosure state, the sellers don't have to disclose what the property sold for. And the buyers don't have to disclose what they bought the property for. For example, in Texas, sometimes there's not enough information out there. Nobody reports what they bought or sold the properties for, so you can't get sold comparables. But what you can get is listed comparables. Because here's the thing, the brokers still know what these properties sold for. Just that the county and Zillow doesn't know what the property sold for, but the brokers do. So when a new client comes in and wants to sell a property in that area, The broker is very simply going to go and look up what they sold because their internal records do tell them. And then they're going to list it somewhere in that same ballpark than what that property is worth. So therefore, all you need to do is, if no sold comparables, you simply go over to the listed side of things and you look at what's listed. What are they worth? Land doesn't sell usually at asking price, it sells a little bit below asking price. So you subtract 15% or 20% or 10% from that, just for between 10 and 20%, and you are good. Because here's the thing. When we do in land flipping, we don't offer market value. We don't buy these properties at 10 cents below market value, or 20 cents below market value, or 30 cents below market value. We buy them at 10 cents on the dollar. We buy them at 20, 30 cents on the dollar. So if this deal is worth $55,000, I might make a $12,000 offer on that property. So even if I'm wrong, if this property is ultimately not worth $55,000, but perhaps it's only worth $45,000 and I was off an extra $10,000, does it matter? No, because when I get this deal for $12,000, can I still go and sell it for $25,000 and make $13,000 in the process? The answer is an absolute resounding yes. That's why all we need to do is find out what we call the ballpark value of those properties, not the exact dollar amount that it's worth. So we have a buffer. We have a margin of error. So now we know this property is worth $55,000. We make a $12,000 offer, and here's the key. We make the offer in writing. So now we're going to talk about what the offer looks like and how it constitutes in the next session, which is the 7 days of land flipping part 5. And it's coming up right here. Just click right here on the link. It's already there for you. All you need to do is click on it. See you there.